things were very good. We were quite blessed. And we're like, well, what should we tell them? I was like, I don't know. We could tell them the truth. Hi, my name's Devon. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice for the entrepreneur in all of us. I am Devon Dickinson, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about talking to your kids about money. This is a hard one. So let me share a story with you. So this was many years ago, probably 6 years ago. Our oldest was probably, maybe even longer than that. Yeah, no, it was about 6 or 7 years ago. Probably our oldest was, around 12, and our youngest was, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. And we were on vacation having, a beautiful, wonderful time, enjoying a beautiful sunset, having a really nice lunch. And we were, ordering, and one of our kids was like, I want a soda. And, in super snarky little, bratty little voice. And I'm like, nah, we're not ordering sodas today. And they were like, well, I want a soda. I'm thirsty. Blah, blah. And I was like, ugh. You can start to see like little veins pop out of my head. And I'm like, we're having this great lunch. Can't you appreciate this wonderful vacation that we're on? The sodas are $3, right? And there's 4 of you. That's $12 for a soda. And I'm like, no, you're not getting sodas, period, right? Unless it's on the kids' menu and it's included in your with your drink, you ain't getting a soda. That's it. And I about blew up, right? Well, they all got the hint. Everyone sat and they enjoyed their nachos without their sodas, right? And then later on that night, I got a little convicted, and I was talking with Cindy, and I was like, hey, I'm trying to figure out why I got so mad about that. And I realized the reason I got so mad about it is because I don't really know how to talk to them about money. Because for me, I was mad at them because I'm like, you're not being grateful. Like, do you not understand that $3 is kind of ridiculous? You don't need to spend $3 for a soda. You got water. You have a nice afternoon. You already had one soda today. You're 10 years old. You don't need another soda. Right. But I realized that I was getting upset because I just didn't know how to talk with them about money. And I felt like they didn't appreciate what they had. And so all of a sudden I realized, you know what? I've never really expressed to them money. I've never really had an intelligent conversation with my kids about money. And so it's funny. So Cindy and I started talking. We're like, well, what should we tell them? Because, by this time we had sold, companies, and things were very good. We were quite blessed. And we're like, well, what should we tell them? I was like, I don't know. We could tell them the truth. And we're like, I don't know. Tell the kids the truth. That seems like a strange concept. And I was like, well, you know what? Let's just tell them the truth. Let's just tell them how it is. And then we'll build off of that. And so we're like, okay. So we called the kids out, and it's funny because I have to tell you, Cindy and I were very uncomfortable with that. Right. I think as parents, we're always comfortable saying, hey, we're broke. We don't have any money. Sit down, shut up. You're not getting a Coke. Right. But we're not comfortable telling kids, like, actually, we're very blessed. Right. Like, we're way more comfortable for some reason as a society talking about how busted broke we are than we are talking about, hey, this is the level that we're at, and the levels of responsibility that came from that. So we decided to have that conversation. We sat them down, and we just had a really straightforward conversation. We threw dollars out there. We threw actual numbers out there. I showed them accounts, showed them dollar signs, showed them, talked through the values of our different, properties and whatnot. And we had a very frank conversation. And they sat there quietly listening, asking questions that were quite intelligent. And then we began to talk about, like, listen, this is where we're at. We can afford a $3 soda. Do you understand why I was mad at you? And they're all kind of like, no. And I said, the reason I'm mad at you is because I felt like you didn't understand the value of a dollar. I felt like you didn't understand, sacrifice and investing. And I realized that, of course, you didn't understand that because I never took the time to explain to you the value of a dollar. And so what I did is I used that example. I kind of showed them, like, listen, I could afford a lot of sodas, right? Like you could afford soda every time. But let me tell you the reason why I chose to say no. Because I want to teach you guys the value of $1. So that soda was $3. And then we went through the exercise, right, of saying, hey, how often do you guys drink soda? Oh, we have it, every day at lunch if you'd let us. I said, great. So, you're 10 years old, right? If you do that for the next, until you're 50 years old, every day you take that $3, and as inflation goes up soon, by the time you're 50, that soda costs you $6 or $8 or whatever that costs. And you invest that money every day. Instead of buying that soda, you invest that money every single day. How much money would you have? And you looked it up and it was like 7 figures, right? And all of a sudden I'm going, great. Hey, guess what? You're a millionaire because you stopped drinking soda at 10 years old. And they were like, that's interesting. And I said, but let me also flip it around, right? Because we also volunteer at this place called Feed My Starving Children. And at Feed My Starving Children, a quarter buys a child who is literally starving on some side of the world, a quarter buys that child a meal. And so I said, what happens if we don't drink that soda today and we take that $3 and we take it to Feed My Starving Children? They go, well, I guess that would be 3 times 4, I guess that would be 12 meals for a kid on the other side of the world. I said, exactly. And that is the value of $1. And by the way, your mom and I started with nothing, right? And I began to use this to tell them the stories of how we would share a car, how, our first rent was $325 in like some nasty neighborhoods. How we would, when we finally could stretch and buy our very first house, we didn't buy any furniture, and when we slept, our furniture was actually some old couch that I had in college that I had pulled out of a dumpster at the time, and how I never let her paint anything in the house. And all of a sudden they started to understand, oh, well, we understood that value of $1 when we were younger. And so what we did is, instead of buying those sodas, we would invest, and we would save, and we would be generous rather than fulfilling kind of our needs and our wants. And they've always kind of noted that, we've never been like brands or driving, cars that are crazy and all of these different things. And so they noticed that kind of stuff, and they're like, but, I guess I thought, we weren't this because you didn't act that way. And I said, no, we have a different value system because we understand the value of $1. And so then I started to be able to have conversations like, I'm sure you all know, like that brand Supreme. And so they brought this up, and they're like, do you know that my friend bought a $600 Supreme brick? And I was like, how do you feel about that? And they're like, well, that's stupid. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, it's dumb. Right. And then we started talking about like brands and Gucci. And then we used it kind of as a segue to actually bring in like the Dave Ramsey stuff. So the following summer, we actually had all of the kids go through the Dave Ramsey teachings on Financial Peace University. And from that moment on, because we got really real about the value of $1 and how, what we should do and what that means and what $3 for a soda actually means, we've been able to have very intelligent conversations with them from that moment on until now. And so now what's fun is, they'll say, you know what? Hey, actually, instead of a Christmas gift from Grammy and Papa, could they put some money in my stockpile account, right? And they use it to buy stocks, right? Or I would tell you this as well, that after that moment, after that conversation we had, my son went and put together, actually all the kids went to put together a collection box for the orphans in Indonesia that we support, right? And then like my son literally went and like beat people up and made them to donate. They got like $300, right, to donate. And they started to understand these values of $1 and being generous. And instead of pursuing after silliness and investing and all of these conversations, just 2 days ago, he won. Now, granted, I know this is all kind of chance, right? But they actually won all of Arizona, the investment challenge, right? Where you pick stocks and they do a stock simulation. He won all of Arizona, right? In the whole state, his team came in number 1. Now, is that because I had the teaching back then? Probably not. And was it lucky? Probably lucky. Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, like, he understands it, like, and we're having real conversations. And so, we can now talk to them about, hey, someday mom and I aren't going to be here. Are you going to get this? Well, I don't know. Maybe. Like, you have to understand the value. If you're responsible, maybe someday you'll be running some of these companies, but not if you don't understand the value of $1. Right? Not if we can't have real conversations. And so right now, might be saying, well, geez, I don't know where I'm at in the evolution. I am the person who's busted and broke. Okay, great. Well, instead of talking about being busted and broke, why don't we talk about how you're right now, not where you want to be financially, but you're investing in the future. Instead of saying, oh, we're busted and broke, we ain't ever have any money. Because what happens is when you have this kind of a poverty mindset, all of a sudden you start to value a supreme brick. You start to value $600 Gucci loafers. And you start to think of yourself, oh, I want to have this, I want to have that. Instead of going, no, actually what I want to have, I want to understand the value of $1 and I want to put dollars to work for me instead of trying to impress people with Gucci loafers, right? And so when we talk about if you are busted and broke, instead of saying I'm busted and broke, you say I'm working on investing for my future. I'm making decisions now that are going to impact you years later. If you're somewhere in that evolution, I would encourage you to talk to your children about where you're at, the decisions that you make, why you decide that, we're not going to go on vacation, or why you decide we are going to go on vacation. How about we went on vacation because your mom and I started saving for this 2 years ago? Have you told your kids that? All of a sudden, they might be a little more appreciative, and you don't snap at them when they want to order that soda. They appreciate it because they understand that you've invested towards this. And it starts to change their mind and how they perceive the world. And let me tell you, I am super proud of my kids right now. They think Gucci and Supreme and that stuff is hilarious. I think it's hilarious too. I'm really proud of them. I'm not telling you that, hey, if Gucci's your thing and you've worked hard for it and it's your deal, awesome, man, go for it. Because I have my own things, right? Like we all have our own things. But I'm proud of them. And let me kind of come full circle because now, so I only have one that can still order off the kids menu. But this is every time we go out to eat, my kids order water. And then my youngest, who orders off the kid menu, always looks at the waitress or waiter and says, is a drink included in the kids menu? And if they say yes, they say, great, I'd like a Shirley Temple, please, and the chicken fingers. If it's not, they're like, okay, I'll have the chicken fingers and a water. So listen, it's not just about these sodas, right? But it's about mindsets, and it's about being able to set these levels of, having these conversations when they're young, so that when you're older, you get to have these real hard conversations, and you can tell them, you can look them in the eye and go, man, I would love for you to go to this university, but unless we get a scholarship, you're not going to be able to afford it. But this is a university that we can afford. Or if you go to this university, you're going to have to take out loans. Are you prepared for loans, right? And you get to have these real hard conversations, but they do it with the value of $1 in mind. I hope that helps. I don't want to give just advice on here for entrepreneurs and business, because our families are part of all of this. And these are hard conversations. I've had some really good ones, successful ones, and I've had some epic failures. This was one that actually worked out really well for me, and I wanted to share it with you because I think there's a lot of value in it. I'm Devon. This is the Whiteboard Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us. I give straightforward advice for the entrepreneur in all of us. Have a great day. Take a quick moment and hit that subscribe button for more content.